What is up guys, welcome to Fight Squad and we're back again with another video. This is the best staredowns in UFC history, top 10 ranked. In the course of recent years, the game of MMA has quickly gotten quite possibly the most famous game on the earth. Fans and watchers of all ages have gotten put into the game because of the veritable delight the heroes give. Regardless, the entertainment doesn't only come from the inside of the ring of the octagon as various fans may think. Unquestionably, the most indisputable energy comes even before the action begins as champions have bested with likely the most horrible lockdowns on the planet. The weigh-ins for UFC battles are consistently an engaging watch, regardless of whether the two contenders totally disdain one another or are old buddies. We've seen some terrific case downs with probably the best competitors and a game set of experience in the UFC. Along the way, we've seen a few amusing ones. We've seen shoving and pulling, and the UFC president Dana White seems to be an inch away from being punched. We take a gander at the greatest case downs in UFC history, from weigh-ins to news meetings to win battles in the countdown below. And before we begin, if you would like to see more MMA videos, please consider subscribing because it encourages massively to create more awesome videos like these. Now, without further ado, let's get straight into the video. Number 1. Anderson Silva vs. Chael Sonnen. Chael Sonnen may very well be the most productive junk talker throughout the entire existence of battle sports, and for almost 2 years he utilized Anderson Silva as his own whipping post for the greater part of his unflattering remarks. Silva finally snapped in the weeks preparing for his rematch with Sonnen at UFC 148, and when they got together, Silva came chest to chest with Sonnen during the Lucky Early Act, and subsequently the Saint shoulder checked the challenger, nailing him straightforwardly in a facial structure. The contenders were pulled separated, and there was even a discussion about Silva confronting a fine for his infraction. Even though no punishment was at any point really gave over, Silva maintained up until his extreme move in the Restrict 2 where he took out Sonnen in the second round to pound the arrogant local second time and shut down their commended dispute. Number 2. BJ Penn vs. Nick Diaz. Nick Diaz and BJ Penn used to like one another. However, you presumably couldn't perceive that from the UFC 137 Say Something. After both had effectively made weight, the prodigy stepped over deliberately for the face-off. Sadly, he got excessively near Diaz. At the point when I say he got excessively close, what I truly mean is that Penn didn't stay at any rate 2 meters from Nick consistently. Responding to the apparent slight, Stockton's number 1 child pushed his brow into Penn's face and a head wrestling match resulted. Had they been wearing Rudolph caps, one might have been excused for imagining that UFC 137 was featured by a couple of elk. Unsuspectably considerably more extreme was the beginning of the third round of their battle. Generally, contenders should stay in their individual corners until the arbitrator gives the approval. They weren't keen on keeping up custom in that evening. Penn and Diaz threw directly to the focal point of the confine in both eyes. While the official gave it his best shot to keep them separated, he scarcely succeeded. Number 3. Diego Sanchez vs. Josh Koscheck. While the battle didn't satisfy everyone's expectations, Ultimate Fighter Season 1 victor Diego Sanchez and his previous housemate Josh Koscheck certainly got individuals energized for their battle when they went head-to-head at the UFC 69 Gaudians. Koscheck fell off the scale first, and Sanchez followed when he immediately built up a glow all over and took a gander at his adversary like he just said something terrible like guarding his mom. Sanchez ended up pushing Koscheck's chest, and as the past NCAA champion stumbled backward, he nearly tumbled off the stage, which was set outside. Cooler heads won as Koscheck just chuckled at Sanchez's tricks. He likewise defeated him in the battle, winning by consistent choice. Number 4. Anderson Silva vs. Vitor Belfort. Before his battle with Vitor Belfort at UFC 126, Anderson Silva had consistently remained genuinely quiet and conscious at weigh-ins. Regardless, when Belfort recommended that the then UFC middleweight master was, in fact, not actually genuine, things will without a doubt get to some degree warm between the past partners. Strolling around to his adversary for the standard pre-fight face-off, the Spider wore a white cover that most likely had Andrew Lloyd Webber considering a copyright suit. The pair by then went nose-to-nose before Silva sneaked off the clothing and exchanged some words for the next 20 seconds. Number 5. Nate Diaz vs. Cowboy Cerrone. The Diaz siblings were simply destined to battle, and Nate isn't that vastly different from his more seasoned sibling Nick. Get in their face and awful things will in general occur. Diaz got serious with enemy Donald Farmer Cerrone at a pre-fight public meeting to help advance their match, and obviously Cerrone was wearing his standard cowhand hat. Nothing special happened to preempt what occurred straight away. However, Diaz clearly didn't care for Cerrone's cap, or he needed one for himself, since he immediately pushed it off of his adversary's head and offered a push that constrained Dana White to intercede to aggravate sure things. Diaz finished during the battle too, shooting Cerrone through with a span of 3 rounds with a win, a consistent victory. 6. Michael Bisping vs. George Rivera. We realized that Michael Bisping presumably wasn't going to stand by until battle night to get in George Rivera's face. Ahead of the pack to their UFC 127 session, Rivera and his boxing trainer Matt Finney had ridiculed Bisping vigorously. At the point when the two came in front of each other, it didn't take long for the Brit to lose his cool. Before they could finish the face-off, Bisping started hollering vulgarities and compromising his opponent. If people had doubted that this conflict was real, Bisping scattered those questions the following evening when he hit Rivera with an illicit knee, and then, after the battle, spat at Finney in the corner. Number 7. Quinton Jackson vs. Wanderlei Silva. It was a contention that was conveyed to the UFC via Pride when Quinton "Frenzy" Jackson met Wanderlei Silva for the 3rd time. At the point when the two warriors met in Pride, it was Silva who defeated Jackson multiple times. However, there was surely nothing but toxicity between these two contenders once they remained on the UFC stage. Silva said something first and Jackson followed, and when they got down to business, everything was extreme. However, nothing was insane. Something snapped in Silva nonetheless. In light of the fact that similarly as they were going to fall to pieces, he offered an awful push to Jackson's chest before they must be pulled separated by security. Jackson just grinned back at Silva and he got the last nicker in the bell. Also, he won by knockout in the 1st round. Number 8. Matt Hughes vs. Frank Trigg. Matt Hughes and Frank Trigg never enjoyed one another. At the point when the adversaries met inside the pen at UFC 52, Trigg chose to throw some C4 in the fire by apparently endeavoring to make out with the persistently manly welterweight champ. Hughes didn't see the value in his enemy's shenanigans and pushed him back into the corner. Unflinching, Trigg made a gesture of a blowing kiss accordingly. Obviously, Hughes didn't connect and get it. Number 9. Chuck Liddell vs. Wanderlei Silva. Chuck Liddell faced Wanderlei Silva in the main event of UFC 79 in 2007. It had been a long time coming, but the wait was finally over in 2007. Liddell had been at the top of the UFC food chain for the better part of the previous 5 years before they met, while Silva had been ruling the world in Pride. The intensity was so thick it could be cut with a knife when the two squared off at the weigh-ins prior to their fight at UFC 79. Both fighters were staring right through each other, but as the two separated, Liddell raised his middle finger at Silva, and Silva responded by charging across him at the stage. Dana White, the president of the Ultimate Fighting Championship, and a number of others quickly intervened before the situation became untenable, and the fight was called off 24 hours early. The fight lived up to the hype, with Liddell winning a decision over Silva in a bout that was later named the 2007 Fight of the Year. Number 10. Sanchez vs. Clay Guida. We knew going to this battle that the stare-down between this pair would merit the cause of confirmation. It's maybe a distortion to say that Sanchez and Guida are as respected for their mean mugs as they are for their achievements, yet it isn't that a long way from reality. At the point when the two gentlemen met in the focal point of the enclosure, they twisted their appearances in a style that would have ensured their first and runner-up at the World Gurning Championships. Tales coursed later that youngsters who got their luck had gone a stone and currently being utilized as foreboding figures. Likewise, the stare-down precisely mirrored every warrior's feelings. This wasn't a demonstration of swagger for the cameras. Thank you guys for watching, and if you like this video, please like, share, subscribe, comment, and of course hit the notification bell to see more awesome videos when we upload new content. And see you next time!